I'm used to speaking often, usually to a group of recovering drunks. And I thank you very much, Kate, and your husband. I am honored to be here, and it's the second opportunity I had to tell you briefly, a little bit about myself and the significant and profound impact that Franciscan House of Mary and Joseph Shelter on Harrison in the west side of Chicago had in my life. So I'm a recovering alcoholic and a drug addict, and I'm really grateful to be here. I say this often: free, sober, and alive. But I'm alive, and there was definitely a big question mark on that for a long period of my life, and sober, and there was definitely a question mark on that for a long period, and that I'm free. I'm free from the homelessness and the hopelessness that I had experienced, and grew up in northwest side of Chicago in an alcoholic family, an abusive household, pretty poor, youngest of 4 children, and life was tough. And we moved to the burbs, and 12 schools, 4 high schools, and a lot of abuse in the household and alcoholism. And but somehow I kept it together on the outside. I was pretty successful in my career, and on the outside, I had a facade. I talked the talk, but inside I was. I was a train wreck, and emotionally and spiritually pretty empty, and did not know how to handle situations in life very well or make adult decisions. And I like many, really wanted to change, and I sought many different avenues for that change. Church and recovery programs and psychotherapy, and you name it. And for short, brief periods of time, I could put some sobriety together and start, having more of a manageable life. But inevitably, I would succumb to the desire to escape from life again through drugs and alcohol, with greater consequences and more broken hearts and broken relationships. And that went on for a good period of my adult life. And some years ago, I was again, at the pinnacle of my career, 6-figure sales manager for a firm, and on the outside things looked good, and I met a wonderful spiritual woman, and we fell in love when we were engaged, and our wedding was getting planned, and again, I lost my sobriety and lost that position. And for the next 6 years, the disease I suffer from, alcoholism and addiction, it like they told me it would, it's progressive and fatal if it's not treated, and it did. And instead of, being able to stop it at some point after another, bottom, if you will, I couldn't. And for the next 6 years of my life, I didn't work, and I was hopeless, and not for a day could I put it down. And inevitably, I was homeless, and I was on the streets of Chicago, and right by Franciscan House, and I would pass the shelter many, hundreds of times on my way to, do my drugs and drinking. And I remember a former case manager there used to say, "Mark, come on in," and I got to know the people. I was a part of the neighborhood, and I'm like, no, and I even stopped and talked to him, and he's like, "Come and get a night's rest," and I chose to live outside, and I chose to sleep or pass out in an abandoned building about a half a block away, and I was completely insane and hopeless. There's no other way to describe it. And I lived, savage-like and animal-like in a way, and it's just my reality. My temptation to maybe water it down a bit, because again, when I'm speaking to a different crowd, they're like me and they kind of get it. A lot of them haven't gone that far down the road. To the pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization of my life that I had experienced, but they do get it because they, in one capacity or another, had lived that life too. And the one thing that was killing them, they just couldn't stop. They couldn't put down. But it was like that for me. It was that, ugly and, that profound. So anyway, eventually, winter came, and I was freezing, many nights. And there used to be a fire barrel in the corner there of Harrison in California, and I'd be in front of the fire, and I'd have black soot over my face in the morning, and I'd go in the shelter only in the morning to wash my face. But still, it's funny because, we have the stereotypical, or, like, oh, a homeless person's like this. And I was, but I'm like, still, I'm not that bad. I'm not sleeping in a shelter. No, I'm just sleeping in the corner in an abandoned building. And it's just still that sick, the twist in my mind. But, the day came when I was pounding on the front door after they let everybody in. And I was begging them to come in because I was so freezing cold. And I couldn't even drag myself to the makeshift bed that I had put together in the abandoned building I was sleeping in at night. And they opened the door and they let me in. And I would have spent, over the next number of months, I spent many, many nights in there. And someone giggled when you said how many showers that you provided. And, as disgusting as it was, and as hopeless it was for me, it had been some months since I had taken a hot shower. I might have washed up. But it was that bad and that hopeless for me. And I remember those hot showers, and I remember the meals, and I remember the bed, and I remember the social worker never asking me, what did you do wrong, or how did you get in the situation? The first thing he said, and the only thing he continued to say to me is, how can I help you? And, if that's not being of service and live in a spiritual way, I don't know what else is, And through Franciscan House and the Franciscan Foundation and many other wonderful, programs and institutions and people in this world, I've been able to not only end my homelessness, but be restored to sanity to live a functional and manageable life today, and very, very blessed. I'm engaged to that same woman again, and thank you. I sponsor many men. I'm still sponsored as well. I got to tell you a little bit about my deal, and I carry a message of hope. I'm talking to a gentleman right now today who went through the same thing as I did, and he's now in a recovery home. And I'm carrying the message of hope to him, to where he may have the gift to not have to ever be homeless again, and live, in this world one day at a time, reasonably happy and healthy and well, and then help others. I love to be of service. I have friends that even might mock me a bit for my level of gratitude on a consistent basis. And, I never apologize for that. I mean, I was homeless and hopeless and freezing cold and starving, and couldn't stop using drugs and alcohol, and absolutely knew that I'd die on the street. I was convinced of it for a long time. And then a miracle happened, and one day that just ended. And I cherish that, And to see all you here today and supporting organizations like this is just amazing to me. I really can't put in the words the level of gratitude I have just to see people here and to be asked to share a little bit of what this has meant for me in my life. And I don't know a better organization, or as a more important one, that you could support with your love, with your service, and financially as well. And I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you.